Good morning, little saints. It's Worshipful Wednesday. Man, it's harder to do this commute cam when you're not commuting. I'm not used to being distracted by driving. I have to be really centered on the recording, and it's harder. So I don't know if I'd keep this up if I did this. Well, I'd probably get used to it. What am I saying? Anyway, today is Worshipful Wednesday, and I was reading in the Upper Room Devotional Guide. The scripture today was from Matthew 25, the last story in that chapter about at the end the end times when the sheep and the goats are separated, and there's the story about the key verse was, whenever you do this to the least of these, you do it to me. And the writer of the devotional guide tells this really moving story about a woman who comes to her, a grandmother who comes to him or her. I don't know if the writer was male or female, but anyway, comes to the pastor and says, "I'm hungry," and the pastor takes this elder woman into his home for a year until she dies of apparently old age. But the line that I remember from this is that there are people who are faced with incredible hopelessness in their lives, and we can make a huge difference in the way that we respond. This man made a difference, or this woman, this pastor made a difference in this woman's life for an entire year, and giving her a place to stay and food to eat. But it doesn't have to be that big. It can be smaller things, a hug. It can be a commitment, a meal. One of my favorite memories is I took a risk once. Some of you may know this story because it was just life-changing for me. I was living in a parsonage that was next to a second parsonage that was next to a church in Falls Church, Virginia, and I was there alone. And someone came up, a group of men came up to the door, knocked on the door, and said that they were on their way to West Virginia, and that they needed some money for food. And I really wasn't comfortable giving them money, but long story short, they wound up getting in the car with me. And I got in their car, and we drove to a cafeteria, and I wound up buying their meal. And on the way there, I was like, man, nobody knows where I am, and they could, if they wanted to, they could take me, and no one would know what had happened to me. But it did not turn out that way. We wound up being at this cafeteria, and the guy, one of the guys, I was watching, and he was getting food from the line, and he got like 3 different meats and 4 different vegetables and 4 different desserts. It became very clear that he'd never been to a cafeteria where you made choices and entrees, and so I was glad I had my credit card with me, because I wouldn't have been able to pay for how much it cost. But anyway, at the end of that meal, this man that took so much food said, "That was the best birthday I've ever had." It turned out that that day was his birthday, and he had this huge meal because he was hungry. The food did not go to waste, and it was all because I took a risk. Sometimes I think God is in those risks, and it's certainly true that we meet Christ when we take a risk and do for others. So anyway, that's it. Worshipful Wednesday. I'll be back on track tomorrow. Tomorrow is Shout Out Thursday. I don't have one planned, so if you want to shout out, please leave a note at icanhavegrace.com, and you have a good day. Peace. How do you stop this? Got it.